Hey FlossTube, welcome to My Stitchy Home. I forgot to say that last time. If we haven't met or if it's been a while, my name is Becca and my channel is My Stitchy Home. This is a channel mainly about cross stitch, but I do also quilt and enjoy counted canvas work or needlepoint. But it's mainly cross stitch. And today's episode, if you will, is kind of different. I said on my video a couple of weeks ago that I wanted to tell you that I was very excited to tell you about getting some project bags made by an Etsy seller, and these bags use vintage stitching that's from my family. So to give you an example of what I mean, this is a dresser scarf, right? Or, you know, you put it on top of a dresser or down the middle of a table. And someone in my family, not me, stitched these flowers on this. And I've always been very sentimental. And so when my grandmothers passed away, when my mother and my dad decided to sell their home and become full-time RVers, I was like, me please, I'll take anything you're willing to give me that's, you know, sentimental family stuff. And so I especially wanted anything related to stitching because I've loved embroidery and cross stitch since I was probably 7, 8, I know 9 years old for sure. So I have been carrying around this big under the bed box for years, full of dresser scarves, pillowcases, and smaller tablecloths. And I would say most of the stitching was in good condition, but the fabric was yellowed, or, you know, there was evidence of stains from years ago. So I didn't particularly want to use the pillowcases, or back in my 20s, I know I used the dresser scarves because that was just, I mean, that was still a thing, I guess. But I didn't want to use them anymore. And so I was talking to a friend of mine. She knows I'm trying to declutter. And we came across this bin, this big under the bed box bin. And I said, I promise you, I want to do something with these things to give them a new life, a new purpose. And she was like, I believe you, Becca. So I really put some thought into it, and when I heard a FlossTuber recommend an Etsy shop that made bags, I looked at her bags, I liked what I saw, and so I contacted her, and I'll give you her name. She's Christina, and her Etsy shop is Quilting with Nico. And if you go into Etsy and you search on that, you want to put Quilting with Nico all in one word. But anyway, Christina with Quilting with Nico. And I told her what I had in mind, and I sent her some pictures. And she said, sure, I'll try it. And as they say here in Georgia, y'all, she is just doing a phenomenal job. So I started off with 2 bags. I wanted to get them back and see if there were any issues with the fabric. You know, these are old linens, maybe, even though I washed them, pressed them, you know, just going through the rigors of being put into a bag, I thought, this may not work. These linens maybe just be too fragile. I don't know. So this was the first bag I got, first of 2. And I should also say, because I quilt, I have quite a bit of fabric. So I went through my fabric collection. Isn't that what we call it, a collection? And I found things that would, you know, match or coordinate. And so I found this plaid and a pink kind of mottled fabric. And I even had the zippers. I found a zipper. And I told her, I said, look, these were pillowcases. I said, if you just want to use one, or if you want to use two, I'll leave it up to you. And she used both of them in the bag. And these are applique flowers with some stitching, you know, in the center, some French knots and what is that called? Like a blanket stitch around the edge of the flower. I don't know if that's done by hand or by machine, but this did what I wanted it to do. It gave those pillowcases a new life. So I love that. And I'll talk in a minute about kind of the preparation on my end for what I do before I send her the stitching and the fabric. But here's I think the second bag. So this was a pillowcase that the design went out, you know, quite a ways. And you can see she quilts right over the stitching. And this was a fabric I purchased that was an ice dyed quilting cotton. And so I just thought the colors, you know, brought out the blues and the pinks and the purples. Her bags have handles and vinyl, you know, really thick, high quality vinyl. And she does put lace on some of the bags, not all the bags, but I don't know if this was lace from the pillowcase or her own lace. I don't know. So yeah, I told her, I said, look, if you need to cut the design, that's fine. If you want to turn the design at a diagonal, that's fine. Obviously I want, you know, the center part particularly, but yeah. So I was so happy to get those first two bags. And like I said, Christina, Quilting with Nico, was the artist who did those, the maker. So I sent her 4 more pieces of vintage stitching and material to make the bags. And this was one of them. Another pillowcase where the design went kind of long. And I had kind of a sewing themed fabric. And love that. Kind of a different kind of pink, kind of a heathery pink. And then this one has a heather green on one side. And here's the matching pillowcase to that other pillowcase. So this one had some more stains on it. So I worked on it. I washed it a couple of times. And again, I'll tell you how I did that. But I did get it finally ready, and so I sent it to her. And then these, she did make a little bit longer. These first bags were, I think, 12 by 13. This one is 12 by 14. So in order to not like just really cut off these flowers, she made it wider. I asked her, you know, could we add an inch or two to the bag, and so she did. And of course, my favorite little kitty cats. I thought, well, they've got blue eyes, and they're kind of orangey brown. So, and then here's another one that's wider. Same pillowcase. And then this one, like I said, you can see it's vinyl, and she's got lace. And this was just a mottled fabric, I thought, you know, the similar colors. Okay, and then the last 4 bags I just got them yesterday, day before yesterday. And so there's this one. Now this was a scarf, like that other scarf, so it had stitching at both ends of the scarf. And again, this is kind of a sewing theme. It's got like buttons in the fabric. And then the off-white fabric, I don't know if you can see it, but it's what they call an Ohio star. So it's just a white on off-white, you know, kind of quilting themed fabric. And then the other one, same fabric around the design, same design, just the other end of the scarf. But I did a different fabric for the inside. This one is like X's, like a cross stitch X. So, but yeah, they both have the pink zippers. And for this one, oh, did I bring it over here? Oh, yeah. None. Okay. She just, out of the sweetness, kindness of her heart, she made a needle minder from that pink fabric. And she also sent a 2022 charm. And I was so excited, like it was my birthday or Christmas or something. And then these are a little different kind of stitching. This is embroidery paint or tube paints. How many of y'all painted with tube paints? They're still around today, actually. If you go into Joann's or Michael's, you may find tube paints and some iron-on stencils that you can, you know, iron the design on something, a pillowcase, and then you can paint with the tube paints or use floss. But I did this. I did this pillowcase design. And there's two of them in there. Like they're opposites on the pillowcases. They were opposites. So I think kind of like no particular side is up or down. But this one had the cats because I love cats. So I did a multicolored. It had purple and kind of a bluey green in it and yellow. So I thought it would go. And then it has kind of a variegated purple on the inside with a purple zipper. And then this was a blue-green batik of leaves. Again, it's got the handle. And it has a kind of a pale yellow fabric on the inside because the flowers have yellow centers. And she took what had to be cut off because, again, this design, you know, went beyond. And she made me a little zippered accessory bag with a purple on the inside so that we wouldn't lose that part of the design. Christina. So I can't promise you that she's going to make you a needle minder or an accessory bag. But that was very, very sweet of her, and I'm so glad I found her. I can sew. I've made a wedding dress before. I made my prom dress. I can sew. I could sew these. I just didn't want to. I felt like something about the emotional connection with the stitching. I just wanted to turn that over to somebody and let them, you know, do their thing, and I would get back the finished product. So I said I was going to tell you what I do on my end. So like this has not been processed, so to speak. It looks to be in very, very clean shape. I don't immediately see any stains, but if I did, then I would treat those stains. And I have Carbona, like if I think it's oil, you know, I have a cooking oil fat Carbona stain remover, OxyClean, and I have, I don't think I have it in here, Grandma's stain remover. I just bought some because I emptied out the bottle I had. I just bought some at Hobby Lobby the other day, and it's a very small bottle, but I want to say it's kind of oily feeling, and so it goes on the stain. You kind of, you know, scrub it around. But I do treat the stains if there's stains, and then I wash it in retro wash, which I left in the other room. So hey, this is future Becca. A couple days later, same top, hair's a little different, but I messed up the video in trying to edit it. So I'm going to redo part of it. You don't know that, but I'm just telling you in case you notice anything looks different. It's a couple days later. So I went to get not retro wash, it's retro clean. It's in an envelope, it's a powder, and also got the Grandma's Secret Spot Remover, so you'll know what that looks like. And Carbona, we get this at Walmart. Comes in different formulas to treat different kinds of spots. So anyway, I went to get that. The process is I take a bowl, I combine 3 or 4 tablespoons of this in the bowl with some hot tap water. I stir it around, and then bowl, and then whatever, you know, if there is a stained area that I've treated, then I try to put that kind of down in case there's any soap crystals left at the bottom that haven't been dissolved yet. I kind of try to put that down against any undissolved soap. But I move, you know, move it all around and everything. And then you want to make sure your entire piece is under that warm water, warm soapy water, and then I'll put another bowl on top of it to kind of hold it underwater. And I place that on the warming coil on our stovetop. We have a separate, you know, a solid surface glass top stove, and there's a warming area, and I turn that on, and I just let it be warm all day. I turn it off before I go to bed. So I don't leave the stove on if, you know, we're not awake and alert to what's going on. And then the next day, if the water's really dirty, which there have been times it's been really dirty, kind of shockingly dirty, then I do up another batch of water and fresh soap. But most of the time it's not that bad. So I just turn the stove back on and, you know, kind of move it around a little bit and reset the bowl on top, and then turn the stove back on warm, and I let it go several hours, if not all day. And when I'm ready to, you know, take it out, I take it out, I rinse it really well under, you know, lukewarm water, and wring it out. You know, just make sure that it's rinsed really well, that you get that soap out. And once I get it wringed out, then I lay it on a dry towel flat, and I just let it dry, you know, overnight, depending on that. I'm in Georgia, so if it's a humid day, it might take a day and a half. But once it's finally fully dry, then I press it with a clean, you know, cloth over the top. And once I've got it nice and flat, not wrinkly, like this has not been pressed, so I don't know if you can tell. It's, you know, it's got a few little bumps in it. But once I have it pressed, this is the back side, and yes, this is a different piece of linen. Then I take the Shape Flex, which is has a glue on one side, and it's a woven interfacing. And I put the glue side down onto the back of the stitching, and I put a damp cloth on it, or you can have a little bit of steam in your iron because the Shape Flex does require some moisture to help it adhere well. And then I just, you know, press it on, and then I'll turn it over to the right side. Again, I put a pressing cloth over the top just to, you know, make sure that I keep the stitching clean, and I press the top side. And that Shape Flex leaves it very smooth and almost stiff, not really stiff, but it definitely adds some heft to it. So if you do have a piece of vintage stitching like this one is a pillowcase, and it's really thin, like, I mean, it is, I don't know how to show you that, but it is really thin. So using the Shape Flex not only, using the Shape Flex smooths it all out and makes it look its best, so that when it's added into the rest of the fabric to make your project bag or whatever, you're going to get the best result. That fabric is going to be just as nice and smooth and strong as ever, and it'll protect to the back of your stitching. So, let's see. And like this was a dresser scarf, so I just cut off the two ends. Like, you know, there was stitching on both ends of this long dresser scarf, and I just cut it off. I didn't cut off the hemmed edge. Christina will do that as she needs to add it into the, to add fabric to that. And for this one, I'm matching it up with this strawberry fabric and this, looks like cross stitch fabric. It has little X's on it. So this will be next to the stitching. This will be underneath the vinyl. And then I have a dark reddish brown zipper that I thought went really well with that strawberry fabric, and this will be the stitching. So that'll be a future bag. Just to give you another example, going forward, the bags are going to be made 14 by 14. These that I showed you are either 12 by 13 or 12 by 14. And because I have big projects, I just decided I'd like the bags to be a little bigger to fit all the fabric and all the floss. So this one is, the stitching is just over 13 inches, maybe 13 1/4. So that's good that I'm going with a 14-inch wide by 14-inch tall bag, because that way, you know, all of this stitching can be incorporated. That'll look really nice. And then the fabric I have matched up with it is this cute little cat print that's got purple and pink in it. And then under the vinyl will be this light purple with a light purple lavender lilac zipper. So those are just a couple of bags to be processed to have the Shape Flex, well, to make sure that they're clean and have the Shape Flex added, and then to send them to her. You may never do this. I mean, you may just say to her, if you want her to make bags for you, you pick out the fabric. You know, trust your judgment or what have you. But I had all this fabric, so I just fold up the fabric I want next to the stitching and next to the zipper, and I put a little note. I pin a little note to it and put it in a Ziploc bag, and I put a little note on the under the vinyl fabric. And then I put the zipper. I write on the zipper. So I name my bags A, B, C, D, E, F. I'm up to R now. The next bags will be S, T, U, V. So I put, you know, bag S on the zipper, so that if for any reason that gets all separated, she can, you know, bring it back together. And then the stitching that has the Shape Flex added to the back, I take a section of gift wrap cardboard roll or a paper towel roll, and I put tissue paper on it, and then I roll the stitching around that cardboard roll, and that just keeps it, you know, nice and smooth, no folds, no creases. And I feel like that probably helps speed things up on her end. She doesn't have to get this folded up piece of stitching and then, you know, press it again. She probably does press it again, but at least it's nice and smooth when it gets to her, hopefully. And so that's what I do on my end. And let's see, what else? Oh, so if you don't have pillowcases and dresser scarves from your mother and grandmother, another idea is, I had a stitcher's daughter contact me. I don't know how she got my name, but she reached out to me via Facebook, and she said she had some of her mother's stitching and supplies, floss, patterns, Ada. I think there was 1 or 2 pieces of even weave, and it was things like this, and, you know, Holly Hobby. And so I'm not emotionally attached to these pieces. Let's see, that one says 1180, so I'm guessing that means she stitched this in 1980. But I could see putting these in an accessory bag or project bag, and for a gift or a giveaway, you know, just to exchange with somebody, because I'm not emotionally attached to the stitching, but I think it's cute, and I think it would be cute with, particularly with the right fabric to, you know, kind of go along with it. So maybe you have something like that in your under the bed box, or you have a relative that has some old stitching. That's one way you could use that up, is to make a project bag from it for yourself or to give as a gift to somebody else. Let's see what else. I think that was all I needed to say about that. So unless I think of something I missed, I'm going to send you back to the regular program. Bye. On the video a couple of weeks ago, I think I mentioned that Victoria of Victoria's Crafty Room and I and several other stitchers are going to start Your Favorite Needlework Shop, which is the Keepsakes house in Cincinnati, Ohio, Sharonville, Ohio. That's what the actual house looks like. But Sue Hillis Designs, she created a cross stitch pattern of the house, and the cat 310 is the black cat. We're going to start this, or we're going to stitch on it. If anybody started it, don't worry, fine, keep on stitching. Just bring it with you to StitchCon Weekend B, and we'll figure out a way we can all stitch together and encourage each other. So I wanted to show you, I've since gotten the floss for it. I think this is going to be my fabric. It is a 20 count Fiber on a Whim cornflower. It's a 20 count Ada. So I thought it's just really pretty, and that the house would just, you know, the flowers and everything would just pop off this cornflower blue. And these are the DMC flosses. There's a lot of color in this. Now some of these aren't used in the house pattern. So I couldn't tell you which ones are the house, but below the house, I am going to stitch these kind of companion keepsake little pieces. They're all like stitching themed. And at Keepsakes in Sharonville, Ohio, this is where you can get this pattern. they have a model there that shows the house on top and all of these on the bottom. Now these are called Keepsakes 1, 2, and 3, Sue Hillis Designs. You can find these at like 1, 2, 3 Stitch or, you know, other stitch shops. So, but I just wanted to show you, I did get it kitted up. I'm ready to go. I might start, you know, just come down on my fabric and leave room for the house, and then start stitching these little projects, these little ones. I forget what the stitch count is on that. The house one is 168 wide and 80 stitches high. So on 16 or 32 count, it would be 10.5 inches wide by 5 inches high. So this whole thing is 10.5 inches wide. So if you stitch it on 1632. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to share. I have some new starts. I have progress to show. I think I'm going to save that for the next video, as well as showing you more of my crafty room. I think I'd like to do a video that's maybe mostly about that. So thank you all for stopping by My Stitchy Home and spending this time with me. And please do reach out to Christina at Quilting with Nico. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Happy stitching. Bye.